Vanessa, in all our previous chats about the British market, we talked about the necessity of hanging in, having patience, that the prize was great and that it would eventually turn. Now that certainly appears to be happening. So what's different now that's driving the current growth?
Absolutely, Eamon. I think we're seeing great return to recovery for the GB market. Finally, as you say, the latest stats from February to April this year showing an increase of 15%, which is absolutely tremendous. I think there's a combination of factors behind this. As we spoke before, addressing such a challenge is not one sort of simple issue. So the British economy is obviously coming back to a boom time. Consumer spending is probably at an all-time high since about 2004. The exchange rate is getting stronger for the British pound. There's more of an appetite to travel for the British consumer. For example, a latest survey in the Telegraph was saying that 91% of Britons are planning their holiday abroad this year, which is great. And also, of course, we had the output from the very important Path to Growth project, which concluded at the end of last year. And that is really allowing us to have a much more focused approach to marketing and communications in GB, which is clearly working as well.
Terrific. And as you say, a very strong start to the current year. So how does Ireland's growth compare to other destinations? I mean, is British travel to all destinations just growing anyway, or are we gaining market share?
Some of the latest data is suggesting, for example, that from December to February of this year, outbound travel to other destinations from GB was only up 2%. So in terms of like for like, we were actually 14% for that same period. So we are undoubtedly taking market share. We're also saying the staycation in GB is quite flat at the moment and is probably likely to decline this year
Scotland
as well.
having a difficult time, I hear.
Scotland has been. In fact, they had a decline of about 2% last year. And I'm also hearing sort of anecdotal evidence from our operators as well that they're struggling, particularly on the numbers side of things.
Okay. So that's good news to be gaining market share on top of everything else. But listen, this is the first full year when we've really had the opportunity to see how well the new segmentation strategy is working. Do you feel that much of the growth we're getting is coming from the social energisers and the culturally curious, those two segments that were particularly targeted?
I think we are seeing that, certainly in terms of the campaign results that we're having now, whether that's in e-marketing or in digital and online advertising. We're seeing great responses, particularly from the social energisers, those sort of young weekenders. What we will have data towards the end of the year on is actual evidence of which of these segments are travelling to Ireland and the percentages, which will allow us to amend our plans and really see for sure where that growth is coming from.
That's terrific and very important. All parts of Ireland, of course, were affected by the decline in the British visitor numbers, but the west of Ireland probably suffered most in recent years. Can the Wild Atlantic Way become a meaningful attraction, do you think, in winning back more of the bring your own car market for visitors to the west, or is the renewed British growth likely to continue favouring urban destinations?
I think the Wild Atlantic Way holds an enormous opportunity for the GB traveller. Coupled with that, I mean, it's a fantastic new message, very, very exciting experience all along the coast for the British traveller. But also there's been a bit of a re-emergence of the love affair with sort of car touring in Britain, which years ago was obviously a very established product in Ireland. And we're seeing that reawaken again. So the Wild Atlantic Way is allowing us to go back out to say, get those cars out, come and tour for sort of 10 to 2 weeks all along the coast and throughout the entire Ireland as well.
You said earlier that there were several factors which of course they were playing their part in this recovery, but considering it all, how impactful do you think the GB Path to Growth piece of work by the Tourism Recovery Task Force was in helping to turn things around?
I think in combination with the other factors that I mentioned earlier, it was pretty instrumental in allowing us to do that. We are implementing a much more focused plan on these two segments, which allows us to be much more effective with our marketing budgets, much more targeted, and that is definitely yielding results. So it's been really important for us.
And the Path to Growth report, it suggests that if we were to do certain things differently, which we are doing, that we might engineer an additional 200,000 British visitors to Ireland annually by 2016. Now, you know where I'm going with this one. It's clear that we will have exceeded that figure substantially by the end of this year. That's 2 years ahead of time. So should we be becoming a bit more ambitious about targets and growth from the British market over the next, say, 5 to 6 years?
Well, as you know, we've implemented our 3-year corporate plan with quite ambitious targets, particularly from a revenue point of view, because that's another main focus for us, as well as the visitor numbers. So over the 3-year period, we are looking at a 19% increase in revenue from the British visitor, but we're not going to rest on our laurels. We're doing really well. We will sort of keep an eye on our targets, on the numbers and on the results, and we will continue to challenge ourselves absolutely on that.
Excellent. And finally, we don't have the purpose of visit data yet from the CSO for the early part of the year, and won't for another few months. But do you feel we're growing the pure holiday or the promotable sector? Do you think that's coming through, or is the growth maybe coming from VFR?
Again, as you say, we won't have the data just yet. But again, anecdotally, from the tour operators and from the campaigns that we're doing, the responses are coming from the promotables, from the holiday makers. And I think additionally, we are having great growth from the business tourism, which is also a very important sector for us as well. So I wouldn't want to neglect that. But I think we could safely say when we see the data, we will get a good bulk from the promotables as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Vanessa. May all our future chats be as upbeat as this one. And it did require patience and has required a great deal of work by you and your colleagues in Britain, which the industry here is deeply appreciative of. And good to hear you talking about positively looking at even better results for the future.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm delighted to be back in business for GB Market. Thank you.